get started with the stuff that doesn't need a vote. What? Yeah.
So I just wanted to, hi, everybody. I received a phone call and it's a little fact finding. I'm not really sure what to do with this information, but does anybody know anything about the ambulance that this organization owns?
Yeah. We want to know about it.
I received a phone call from someone saying they want us to transfer the title to them.
Really? Well, who, you don't know who it was, Tammy?
No, the message was, I only received 4 of the numbers of her phone number. And her name is Norma. Something about Carriage Traders. Transferring a title to us.
It was Dakota Alcott.
I was gonna say, I know Dakota was trying to get it for North Country to do teaching the
Right,
class.
but at the moment, so we need to talk about this because this is Dakota Alcott wanted to buy it. But it is at the moment, it has been being housed at Queensberry. And they've been using it for teaching there. We had not officially, we were looking to sell it and to get rid of it. When I emailed Dakota back, I had asked him what he was willing to pay for it. And he told me $2,000. So I think that we probably, before we just say yes to him, we should probably put it out there and see if anybody else wants it and if they want to pay more money for it. I don't.
So at the last meeting, Paul talked to me afterward. Apparently, Paul says that he paid around $5,000 or something like that for back rent for Mountain Lake.
Yes, he did. And
And
he
supposedly,
that
the
was his
exchange
guarantee.
was the ambulance or whatever for that. So just, Paul's not here, but
Well, he told me.
I would just check with Paul.
well,
before we make
and
any
so we
decisions.
either have to pay Paul back the $5,000 that he gave us for rent, which we could do, or we give him the ambulance and he can do with it what he wants.
So Paul
He wants
Paul
it.
himself, let's clarify this because this is the first I'm hearing this. So Paul himself paid $5,000 to
He
whom?
paid $5,600 for rent when we closed out of the office in Glens Falls. Yes, he supplied that money for the rent. We didn't have it at the time.
Who did he pay the rent to?
Gave it to Mountain Lakes. That's what we used to pay off 375 Bay Ridge LLC.
I'm totally.
So
Yes.
Paul gave money to Mountain Lakes to pay the rent, the back rent. Is how I'm tracking.
From,
In exchange, he has the.
Yes. That went 2 months for it.
So we probably should talk to Paul and see which way he wants to do it. Because he could go either way with it, because technically it belongs to him. We can either pay him back for the rent that he loaned us at the time, or we can keep the ambulance and sell it, or whoever he wants to. He's not been able to find anybody to buy it, and I think that that was the dilemma. We thought that we could sell it to one of those places that does salvage for ambulance services, but for some reason that was never came to fruition for him, so. That was what his original plan was.
So does Paul want it? Or we don't know for sure. If he
I
wants
don't know.
it. Is he using
I
it?
haven't talked to him about it in a long time.
Stephanie told me, okay, basically, you're not gonna sell that ambulance until you pay me something.
Yeah, right.
So,
And so we need.
that's the only way, the way I found out about this. Paul is very quiet, as Storm and I know, so I mean,
Yeah,
nobody would
Right,
ever know
everything
about
else.
this.
Yeah, and so Paul himself isn't using it, but the ECH medic program, right, is using it for their classes. So I mean, it's getting used
Queensberry EMS uses it monthly.
and it's at Queensberry
It is,
EMS, right? So it's at Queensberry EMS too, and so they kind of use it with agreement of it being part of their kind of a thing. I don't know, yeah, we're checking with Paul first, but
Oh, definitely.
if the agreement was for Paul to have the ambulance, then Why didn't we sign it over?
I think that what we originally talked about back more than a year ago now was that he would pay the rent, he would manage the ambulance, and he was gonna try and sell it for some money, and that never came into being, so that's where we were, and that's where we left it. The last I had talked to him, probably 6 months ago, he was still exploring that option, but I think that's probably long past, since he hasn't made any progress with it. So probably we talk to him and see which way he wants to go. Either way, it doesn't really matter at this point. I think either he gets his money back or he can sell the assets, whatever he wants to do. That makes sense. Just it's his stuff.
Not to change the topic, but Adrian's here now, so we would have a quorum.
Okay, you can officially call the meeting.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and call the meeting to order?
You want to bounce back to the CON actions and then you
Yeah.
can get those out of the way and the stenographer can go.
Yeah. Sounds good.
You want to do roll call quick?
Yes, please.
Jeff Beeching. Storm,
Here,
Tammy,
Here,
Jamie Ford is not here, Patty Bashaw,
The sunshine.
I'm here.
this morning, But we've been clouding up and now on the radar, we
Me, I'm here.
Matt,
Here.
John Bashaw. No. Robbie DeMarz. No, Craig Dumas,
Present.
Scott Harwood. Eric, no, John Tim, no, Ashley Rivers.
Here.
Pat Mellon,
Here.
Vicky,
Here.
Adrian,
Here.
Bruce, here.
I'm
Paul.
sorry, really quick, just because there's a mic in front of you, I can hear you, so you're on the record. So everyone, if we can just be aware of that, I know it's kind of hard and it's kind of not your normal, but it is on the record, so just be mindful of that.
Paul's in, it's not here, and then that's.
Meeting before you speak, so she knows who it is. Good to go, Zach? Yes. Scott is on virtually now too, Zach. You want to mark that down? You got me to roll through the CONs for you, Tammy?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
please.
So this is Jonathan Cole. The two CONs that we have to vote on tonight are for Bay Ridge / Queensberry EMS and their expansion and the Parkland Mohawk ambulance expansion. Both CONs, we can vote on them separately with roll call vote. Come forward as a seconded motion. But before we vote, is there any declaration of conflict from anyone at the Queensberry site?
Ashley Rivers, I am the deputy chief of that agency.
Zachary, now, I belong to Fort Ann, does that matter? Seeing how they're going into Fort Ann's town?
So I guess we could discuss that as a board if we think that's a conflict or not.
I don't know how to answer that.
So Bruce Mason is a member of Fort Ann Rescue, who is the current, I guess, certificate holder for the proposed area of Pilot Knob that Queensberry will be taking. I guess if the board wants to decide if that would be a conflict or not.
No. Would you make any financial gain off of this, Bruce?
Would I? After 50 years, I haven't made any financial gain yet. Am I in the record here? Good.
And actually, his agency is the one losing the territory, so if anything,
Thank you.
potential loss.
I don't believe he has a conflict.
Don't either.
Anybody down here in Queensbury think it's a conflict?
No.
Nobody down here does.
I'm sorry.
Ashley, would you gain any financial benefit from this merger?
Me personally, no.
Okay.
Our agency doesn't get the funds anyways, the town does.
Your town does the billing.
Correct.
Does anyone foresee that being a conflict?
No, not the town doing the billing.
He doesn't.
So,
You're not employed by them, you don't make money from them.
I do.
Okay, so that's a conflict.
any other conflicts? Zach, if you would do a roll call vote for the Bay Ridge Queensberry EMS vote, the vote is only of the people who are present to make the quorum, so it's the in-person people, not the individuals who are joined online. It's just the way the state law is worded.
Okay, ready? I'll start with Jeff Beeching,
Jeff Beeching. Oh, yes.
No conflict.
No conflict.
Storm Trainer,
Yes,
Tammy Tromley,
Yes,
Lisa Fisk,
Yes.
Matt Watt,
Yes.
Craig Dumas,
Yes.
Ashley Rivers. Had a conflict,
yes,
so Pat Mellon,
Yes.
Vicky Campbell,
Yes.
Adrian Hamilton,
Yes.
Bruce Mason.
Yes.
That concludes roll call, all yeses except for Ashley for her conflict.
So the Bay Ridge Queensberry EMS expansion has been approved by the council. Next, we'll vote on the Parkland Mohawk ambulance one. Is there anyone on the council who has a conflict pertaining to this one?
we do a roll call for conflict.
Yes, we can. We'll do a roll call for conflict, Zach, if you just want to go down through the list and ask if anyone has a conflict.
Okay, Jeff Beacon,
No conflict.
Storm Trainer,
no,
Tammy Tromley,
No conflict.
Lisa Fisk,
No conflict.
Matt Watts,
No conflict.
Craig Dumas,
No conflict.
Ashley Rivers,
No conflict.
Pat Mellon,
No conflict.
Vicky Campbell, Adrian Hamilton,
No conflict.
and Bruce Mason.
No conflict.
Okay, no
Hearing no
con,
conflicts, we can move forward with the vote.
Jeff Beecham,
Yes.
Storm Trainer,
yes,
Tammy Tromley,
Yes,
Lisa Fisk,
Yes.
Matt Watts,
Yes.
Craig Dumas,
Yes.
Ashley Rivers,
Yes.
Pat Mellon,
Yes.
Vicky Campbell,
Yes.
Adrian Hamilton,
Yes.
Bruce Mason.
Yes.
Okay,
The Parkland Mohawk ambulance, CON passes. Storm, just to confirm, we did not receive anything additional from Danamora to proceed with their vote tonight.
no, we did not.
Okay,
Unfortunately.
so we'll have to schedule another CON meeting within the time frame. So it would be 60 days of it being deemed complete. Right now it is incomplete. After that, or during that 60-day period of, after it's deemed complete, we'll have to schedule another CON vote meeting. I know it'll be hard with the holidays, but we'll try to make it as convenient as we can for everyone. And Champlain too, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, the Danamora one may be, we may get the rest of their pieces before the first of the year, but I'm not sure of that. And then I think Champlain will not get theirs all completed before the first of the year. It's gonna be very hard for them to finish up all the work that they needed to do. Hopefully, so. It'll be after. Probably the first meeting.
All right, I'm gonna put the agenda up on the screen. I'm gonna try to.
Great, so we don't need the recorder anymore, right?
Correct.
Because we only needed her for that piece.
Yep, you only needed her for the CON actions.
Yep, it would be good.
Okay, so
So off the record.
you're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
You know.
That was great, thank you.
Bear with me, guys. Trying to stop sharing my screen.
No, come on. You know, he didn't want you to say anything, he didn't want on there.
Listen. I have lots of things that get recorded. That's bad.
Hey, that was the best of us.
And I stand by what I say.
So
Hmm?
do I.
Yeah. Agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
All right, it's all yours, Stan.
All right, so we did the first approval of meetings, meeting minutes from August. Has everybody had the opportunity to read those, and do we have a motion? Jeff Beeching makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. All in favor?
Did Craig second it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion? Corrections, amendments? All in favor?
Yes, down here.
Okay. Good to go.
Okay. Program agency report. Bear with me. Should we just flip this all?
Did we take a financial report attached to that? Those minutes from the last meeting? No? I think we need to do that. Storm, did you have a financial report at the last meeting? I was not present.
I don't remember. I thought I did, but I might not. have. Patty, no? Anybody remember?
Don't recall an
I
actual
didn't,
report.
we didn't pass it out. I gave a financial report, but I don't think I actually passed out a copy of it.
Could you get us a copy of the last financial report from August?
Yep.
Okay, and do you have one for this meeting?
Today, and everybody should have gotten today's. For the meeting today.
Did she email
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
it today?
yes.
Yeah.
pretty extensive.
We got it.
I guess so.
Seriously,
So-
there's like 16.
I will start with the program agency report. So some newer New York State DOH updates. So there's a new policy statement for hospitals, 2311 provisional trauma center designation process. So it really just describes the processes for the hospitals to go through to get their provisional trauma designation. We're continuing to work on the update for ETCR policies 1202 and 1203 and merging those together and do a document that actually makes sense and follows the workflow that we're actually doing. The EPCR schematron is scheduled to update on 1/1 of 24 to NEMSIS 3.5. There is another schematron update for 3.4 that is coming out in the next couple of weeks. That information will get pushed out from our website tonight, along with the training for providers to go through and see what is changed, so they can see how they can fix their documentation to make it work. It's really not, I don't think it's gonna be anything that affects the Mountain Lakes region tremendously. It was geared more towards one software vendor that you guys don't have over here, so it works kind of in your benefit. And then I actually, on the way up here, I just threw this on when I got here today. The systems committee chair for the CMAT or SEMSCO called me to let me know that he was just told today that REMSCOs are gonna not be allowed to charge fees greater than $100 for CONs moving forward. I think there's a way that we can work around it, because you're not necessarily charging a fee, you're charging a deposit. So I think it's in the language, but that is the opinion they got because you're a statutory authority, that you're not supposed to be requesting money over $100. I don't know how they expect REMSCOs to be able to move forward with CONs because, as Storm can attest to, having paid for a lot of the expenses for the CONs that are going on right now, it adds up very quickly, and then you're stuck invoicing them after the fact and hoping they pay for it. So I think the language that we use is just deposit instead of CON fees, and maybe that is our workaround for it. I know North Country is also looking into it, so when I hear something over there, I will be more than happy to share it over here.
It's way more than $100. So
Again,
just the recorder.
the mailing was $400. So PAD, we've received, reports received from the DEC. No new applications. We did receive one in the mail yesterday, but we're trying to be better about it. It's not in 2 weeks before the meeting. It's gonna get shelved until the next meeting, just so that we can get items out to everyone in a timely manner, so you all have time to review everything. So getting us something the day before, it just doesn't work into the workflow super well. We did receive PAD updates from Paul Smith's Gabriel Fire Department, Franklin County, and Greenwich, or Greenwich Central School, and quarterly reports from them. No new applications for the BLS adjuncts or the IGEL study. Just as a thing to remember though, if your agency does sign up to do the BLS IGEL study, you have to submit your paperwork to the regional office. So that'd be Zach in my office. We sign off on it and send it back to you. It is your responsibility as an agency to send it to Hudson to get signed up for it, and they will send you back the education and the training that you need to do. It just takes us out of the middle of it, so they're dealing directly with you as an agency. EPCR and data integrity. So the monthly Glens Falls Hospital turnaround time reports continue. Working with agency software vendors and the state data team to resolve a whole lot of issues. We are meeting regularly to do the transition to 3.5. So the plan with 3.5 is it will be released to the software vendors on 12/1. They have until 6/30 of 24 to implement it with the agencies. Going forward, supposedly there will be one schematron update a year. So that way we're not throwing tons of stuff at people every 2 months and changing how things work. And from what we've been told, the 3.5 schematron is going to be greatly watered down to be able to capture the basic NEMSIS information that the state is looking for with limited state add-ons. So that way we can actually see what we're getting for data before we decide to add more components and to get other things. We need to see a baseline. I think it's a good move for the state because the pendulum has swung way too far one way. And we're getting tons of data, but none of it means anything. Oh, too far, sorry. Training and education, so the learning management system, we still have that up and available for everyone. With me here tonight, sitting behind me is Jess Thompson. She's our clinical coordinator for the program agency. She is the one who is running the learning management system. So if you have any new training ideas or anything like that, Jess is a perfect person to talk to.
Absolutely, anything that you help with, suggestions, they go.
And then Spring Fling, North Country Spring Fling is in 2020, is the weekend of April 11, 12, and 13. It'll be at the Edgewood Resort in Alex Bay. They are still looking for speakers. So if anyone over here has like a pet project or something you're really passionate about teaching, please contact our office. We'll get you hooked up with the speaker form. Because we'd love to have people come and talk about things. One of the nice things that I think they've been able to do with their conference over the years is they've been able to really keep their speakers local. And it's been a good kind of platform for other people to branch out. EOH sponsored courses and classes that are upcoming. So the Clinton Community College classes are currently running. The North Country classes are currently running, and the UVMC, this is changed, but I know they're gonna start in January. You know exactly.
Andy, is it January 19th?
Yeah, January 19th is day one of the class. Application window closes in I think 5 days. And yeah, January 19th we'll go.
And you're still doing the two site, or the site over in Potsdam and the stuff over here?
Yep, Potsdam, Lewis, I can't even, Queensbury, and I believe we're gonna have a site in Burlington also this year. That's the goal.
Awesome. So agency updates. So the REMAC approved these, and then I believe you guys vote on them as well, correct, Tammy?
Yeah, they come over.
So do you want to just do it as all one motion to approve the agency operating authority renewals? And then we can talk about Paul Smith Gabriel after?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we have a motion. Oh, Craig's already raising his hand.
I make a motion
To approve.
approve the agency updates as seen on the screen.
Can we have a second?
Okay. I got Matt down here. I didn't see who it was up there, so I'm going with Matt.
Okay.
Any opposition? That's just easier.
Any abstention? We have to do a roll.
No, because it's documented, there's no opposition. So BLSFR updates, Paul Smith Gabriel was given an extension only by the REMAC. They want to meet with the agency's medical director because they don't believe that that individual is still in the area, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Is that what the continuum?
Yes, and I spoke with Dr. Pond. Dr. Pond did meet with them, and with Paul Smiths, and they, per him, know what's expected of them. But Scott, I wasn't sure if you had been in touch with Paul Smiths, or if anybody had been in touch with you.
They have not, no. I did the original paperwork for them, so I can reach out. Have not heard from them.
Okay. Dr. Pond didn't elaborate on his conversation with them, but he did say that he spoke with them and explained to them what the expectations were. And he did say that he had offered to them or extended his services to them if needed.
Okay, I'll give them a call tomorrow. See if I can get more information.
Okay, their extension is I believe a 3-month extension
Yes,
to the next meeting. Yeah, we should, I think we need to,
Vote to it.
vote to agree to the extension.
Anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion, Paul Smith, Gabriel, we extend their extension?
Yeah.
Yes.
That works.
And do we have a second?
Storm down here, seconds.
What word did you use? Opposition? Any opposition? Any further discussion? Motion carried.
Perfect. So, PACS, pediatric emergency care coordinators, please make sure your agency has one. There's a lot of great information that comes out monthly from them. Also, please let our office know when you update them. These links will be included in the minutes that get sent out. Regional database for providers. We've made a lot of really good traction in getting people signed up into the database. It gives us a good idea of how many providers we have in the region, but also allows us to kind of drill in to see how many CCs are in the region and that kind of information moving forward. So we
On
still
that-
are.
Oh, real quick, Jonathan. We haven't gotten all the agencies up to par yet to switch our credentialing over to their, online database management system. So, and of course, paperwork still, do that yearly form and just submit that to us by email. Make sure you have your card copied and stuff like that. And then we'll go in and we'll mark the providers in the database as having completed their yearly skills for tracking that way.
Yearly skills are gonna be the normal form that we've been using?
Yep.
Okay.
We haven't updated 2023 one, but I can send it to you, but yeah, same normal form, same requirements. I think the biggest change was like last year when they got rid of the intubation for AEMT or something.
Oh,
like that. So, same, even if it's not our new form that we get, it's the, we're understanding. And then certificate copies, just keep those on the agency. We don't need those. But make sure you're getting all the signatures on the form, and documenting your skills done. That's all.
So for now, we still are doing the weekly newsletter and director's newsletter. So if you have anything that you need shared out throughout the giant region, please send it to our office. We're more than happy to post. That being said, our website is being updated, and hopefully at the February meeting, I'll be able to show you guys what we've built for a Mountain Lakes website that is tied in with us. So it's all the information in one nice location. We're working on figuring out how to get the newsletter and that stuff integrated in so it all shares out too. That's been a little bit more of a daunting task.
We can only get emails at a time. So like agencies, sending agencies emails, we either have to break them up into multiple, emails to send out, or if people sign up for the director's newsletter and the weekly newsletter, we can, just send out updates a lot easier that way. That way we can send it to as many email addresses as we want, kind of a thing.
Air medical reports. So the REMAC requested that these be included in the meetings. So Colleen was on the meeting and she's on this meeting too. So Air Methods and LifeNet will send them to us and we will send it out with your meeting information. Like I said, moving forward, stuff will go out 2 weeks ahead of the meeting. So that way you have plenty of time to be able to review everything. And I might actually.
Link submitted in the meeting folder if you did want to show everybody that. I did put that in there, but I did not send it out, so.
We can send it out. I also am gonna work on getting everybody into the state's portable system. So the state has given us access to that. So it's basically a file management system that we can add everybody into. You can log into portable. You'll be able to see all the documents for the meetings. You'll also be able to see what they're gonna talk about at CNAC and REMSCO, because those are all publicly posted there. It's actually a pretty decent tool that the state's letting us use for free, which is shocking enough on its own that it's the state's and it makes sense. So no offense, Mary.
So They'll get us hooked and then they'll charge us.
Yeah, that's probably what'll happen. Does anyone have any questions for the program agency? All right. Bear with me. There we go. There you go.
So one other thing from the REMAC meeting, there is a new medical director that they approved, and that's Madison Daly. I don't know if everybody, was familiar with that, but I believe she was brought at the
Yes.
previous
she-
meeting, and then this last meeting, they voted
Yeah,
her
because
in.
we were missing stuff from her for the first meeting.
And there was some discussion that the physicians are looking for information in regards to the agencies, operating authorities that are up for renewal, and having appropriate information to be presented at those meetings so that they can make educated, knowledgeable decisions as to approval or non-approval. So what the discussion was basically the agency that's up for renewal, how they're performing. So, call volumes, response times, do they have appropriate ALS coverage? How many times do they have to call for mutual aid, because they can't get out? And any other, issues that would impact patient care. So moving forward, we are looking at the best way to provide them with that information. Zach and Jonathan, we're going to look at previous reports and see, what we have available to us. But, there is some, thoughts from me that, maybe some of that information could be provided by our EMS coordinators that do their report out. The agencies very well, and knowing and speaking up, I guess, for, what agency is up for renewal. And maybe being present for those meetings, if possible.
I also made the recommendation to the REMAC too, that they should really write a policy statement for the region that clearly spells out that this is the expectation of the REMAC. These are the requirements that we want for your ALS renewal, and this is how this is when it is to be submitted, et cetera. So that way we're not in this game 5 years from now going, well, I remember we talked about this, but I don't remember what exactly we said. It's in black and white, it's on a piece of paper, it's on the website, it is a document that they operate by. I think that will help stave off further frustrations, I will phrase it as.
And the other thing would be, I pushed back a little bit to the provider that made the request, that they need to be accountable as well. If they know that their agency is up for renewal, then the medical director needs to be present at the meetings to speak on their behalf. Because again, they know what has been discussed in their QA/QI meetings, whether or not they're having QA/QI meetings, whether or not an agency has issues, or how the patient care is being delivered. So, I think that there is some of their responsibility here in this as well. But stay tuned. We're hoping to get things tidied up a bit for them, and make it a little bit more seamless like it has been in the past.
And we've got to kind of dance a fine line right now. The atmosphere in Albany is very I don't want to say it's anti-REMSCOs and REMAX, but they are lawyer shopping until they get a legal opinion that they agree with. And so we just need to be careful as regions to not put ourselves in a position that the Bureau is gonna come at us and say, oh, no, you can't do that, and use us as an example. And that's the main thing that we need to make sure we're protecting ourselves against. Hi, Patty.
Hey, Tammy, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having a conversation with Dr. Pond. I'm sure that will go a long ways, and I think it will also help resolve some of the issues that the REMAC might be having. So I just want to say thank you for doing that.
I have to say, he sent a letter, and I assume some of you know, the letter was really, concerning his feelings about the organization as it sits currently, and how he feels like there are lots of loose ends. And as we all know, there are lots of loose ends. There is a lot of frustration amongst all of us. We're kind of out there hanging without, an executive director. And honestly, the entire time I've ever been on this board, we have never been without an executive director and a team of people, even if it's a handful of people, to manage the day-to-day operations. And things like the CON, had Storm not stepped up and, made arrangements for the facility where the CON hearings were held, for the court reporter, for the, the mailings and getting, the notifications out. We wouldn't have been approving CONs, and we would have been delinquent. So it is a team effort, and I do understand some of his frustration. And I think we need to step up and, pull our weight, but we also need to hold them accountable as well. They are frequently on the verge of not a quorum. They've been pretty loose about their providers, their medical directors' attendance at meetings. And I think that they recognize that as well. I tried to explain to Dr. Pond that, we are all trying to figure out our roles. So one of the things that I have asked Zach and John to really look at is helping us understand what the roles and responsibilities are of the REMSCO and of the program agency, and help define what path we need to take and what's us doing versus them doing. And to be honest with you, I have no idea. I'm new into this role. And frankly, I don't think that the chair has ever been without a executive director to kind of guide them and hand things off, so to speak. So any of you that have had experience in this chair, Patty, I could use the help. It is very daunting. It is very daunting, and there's a lot going on. I think our subcommittees, I had asked Zach back in late June, early July to notify everybody of the committees that they sat on. I believe that information was sent out, even though I did hear that people hadn't received that information. I do think that if you have not received what committee you are on, you need to reach out to myself or Zach or John, and we will tell you what committee you were on, because everybody is on a committee. And if you know you're on a committee, but you don't know who is the lead on that committee, then reach out, because everybody's on a committee and everybody has a lead. And I think that the other thing that I would ask is that the subcommittees start to meet on a routine basis between each of these meetings. Even if it's, you don't have to meet in person, it's impossible to meet in person, but set up a time to at least touch base with each other. Have one meeting between each of these bigger meetings where you come and you report out. And if the lead person, the chair of that subcommittee is not gonna be at the meeting, somebody else is going to fill us in on where you're at. Now, if you have a meeting and you don't have anything to discuss, because there's a nominating committee, right? So that they're not gonna have anything to present to us, for every meeting, then that's fine. But I also don't want us to just say, yeah, well, we didn't meet, so we don't have anything, even if, you know, if there's something you need to talk about and there's something you need to do, you need to meet and you need to be able to present it at the next meeting. And I think keeping our communication lines open and meeting more regularly and touching base on where we're at, we won't have as many things slip through our fingers. We still will. It's a learning curve. John's been in his position for 6 months. And let's face it, we had Travis, then we had nobody, and
Then we had Ann for.
then we had Ann for a couple of months, and then we had John. So we have gone through a lot of changes. Not that it's an excuse, it's just an explanation. I think we're doing okay, and we have room for improvement, and there's always room for improvement. Does anybody have any thoughts or ideas about the committees, the subcommittees? And my suggestion about meeting in between and reporting out.
Kimmy?
Yes.
So Jenny, just so you know, so I agree that we need to meet with committees in between meetings because I think that's important. Even if you don't think you have something to meet about, there is probably something there that you could be doing. So, and you talked about the awards committee. So typically we don't get awards through the year, but we should be writing awards all year long and submitting them when people are doing a good job. And I think we're not proactive about reaching out to necessarily agencies and saying, you know, you had this call, was there something that we could, you know, do for an award? Or is there somebody who was outstanding on the call? We're not good about rewarding our own. We're more likely to criticize than we are to necessarily say you've done a great job. And I think we need to look more to say, you're doing a good job. Can we bring more people to the meeting or to the committees and say, you know, the state opens their committees to more than just people who sit on the council. So you could do the same thing with yours. If you have people in your agency who want to get involved at this stage, it might not be a bad way for you to bring people and get them involved in the process. So that as I retire and Patty retires and who else, and Bruce retires, and Matt's thinking about it, but he's much too young. So, right, he's much too young.
Yeah.
So I think that we could bring people in who could then get started in the process and then maybe be interested in, you know, working on this. Because I really think that that's part of something we are not good about doing. And I know that everybody's busy and everybody's working in multiple jobs, but I think we need to start somewhere, and that's a good place to start. So, you know, the education committee needs some work, certainly awards. The systems committee, I think we're finally getting our feet under the ground and we're kind of working through that process. I still need to do some work with the finance committee because we haven't met and we need to. But my hope is in the next 2 weeks before the end of November, we'll get that done. Of course, now we're into holiday season, so here we go. And so I think that there's a lot to be done. But we need to really work at this and make it positive and not negative.
Agreed. And I think, you know, for example, the finance committee, you know, Storm is bearing the, you know, holding the bag, so to speak. She's bearing the brunt of all the work on the finance committee. Divvying some of that work up it's gonna lighten her load, but it's not gonna be a full load for one person, whether it's Storm or somebody else. I think that, and the more people that get involved in their subcommittees, the more information that's shared amongst us. We all, can sit here and say, well, I didn't know that. I didn't hear that, I didn't know that, but that's because one person or two people are the only ones that know any of the information that's being shared. If there's a team of 5 or 6 people, more people will get the information. It will be disseminated a lot more easily. And honestly, the more hands, sometimes it's more complicated, but also we have more ideas. And we might be able to figure out how to do something a little bit better. So that's my soapbox, rounding out the REMAC request for reports and information on the agencies up for approval.
We share the agenda. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Anything?
Next CMAC and SEMSCO meetings will be December 5th and 6th. County coordinators report. Storm, you're first.
Oh, lucky me. All right, so, I think that the thing that I'm busy with now is just trying to get this transfer done and then the CON done for Champlain. So I've been spending a fair amount of time on those 2 other projects, in addition to doing the other stuff. So, I think that, basically, we are going to be going through some changes. We are bringing on some new medical directors. So Madison Daly, who is a Vermont physician, and is working at CBPH, and I believe she's also working at UVM, is our latest medical director who's come on board. She is going to be working with Dr. George and overseeing EMT of CBPH. So that is her. And then we have another physician, Mary Fortin, who is going to be taking on an agency, and we're not sure exactly which one of the 2 that we currently are looking for medical directors for, who she's actually going to pick up at this point. So they sent an email today. We're working on that. She has chosen who she would like to do, and I think that's probably what we'll do at this point. And then we have a couple of others that we're going to look at. So we'll get through that piece of it. And then I think maybe we'll be set for a little while. Hopefully. Okay, I'm done.
Any questions for Storm? Essex County.
So we are adding more positions to our EMS system. Some of the agencies that we contract with have asked for more staff. So it seems like every year we're getting asked for more and more. Patty and Lisa are now taking over the QAQI for E-Town. We had a meeting last week about it. Pretty excited. They're really gung ho about it and hoping to get that up and going to be a little more robust than it has been. I think it will be. Glad to have them doing that. I think that's all for now.
Franklin County. Are you still here, Scott?
I am, yeah, just a couple of quick things. So we certainly are going through a lot of changes also with some changes at Alside and the UVM health network changes. All seem to be positive, but a lot of changes there. Our staffing, I think I mentioned the last time, our staffing levels are actually fairly good right now, at least AEMT level and below. Most of the agencies are fully staffed. And we're seeing a really good turnout for courses, which seems odd, but we continue to see that. Our spring courses are full, and we're actually filling summer courses now. So that's pretty encouraging, and hopefully it sustains. That's it for me.
Warren County.
No report.
Washington County.
Scott, if you're still here, I commend you on, you're doing something right up in Franklin County, that's for sure. We continue to have the future of EMS meetings. They're ongoing. Met again with the Public Safety Committee, last month, at the end of the month. There is a lot of stuff in the works, happening. Too early to say really too much, so I'm not saying anything, but, I think it's all good, but we still need the volunteers. We still need the people to do this. There's not enough to go around. They're all drawing from the same pool. So Scott, I commend you again. So thank you.
Mary,
Not much new to report at the state. Keep getting in your renewals. We're asking at least 30 days in advance. And everything gets submitted through the portal, which is on the same page as the forms. And once you click on the portal, it'll tell you exactly what forms you need. If you do not receive your renewal information, it's sent via email to the last email address we have on file for you. Reach out and we can get it to you. But along those same lines, as we're approaching the end of the year, as you have officers change, emails, etc., please be sure to fill out an agency update form and send it both to the state and to Mountain Lakes, Zach and Jonathan, so that we can all keep our records up to par. Any questions for me?
okay, old business, whistleblower policy for approval, and Zach, I will turn it over to you. Oh, I should stop.
Zach, I get it to you, Bob. Cool, thank you. Yeah, thanks for coming. All right. So here's the whistleblower policy. We sent it out last year when we first started working on it, actually back, when Ann was still around before Jonathan, so he might not have even really seen this policy yet. I sent it out again with our meeting stuff earlier. Basically, it's just something that the state wanted us to have in with our, contract and stuff. So I guess we'll start at the beginning, if you guys wanna look at it quick. We've kind of gone meeting to meeting and not approved it, so we should probably just finally get it approved. And it'll be a yearly thing, like our conflict of interest, which is the next thing, on our old business list. So I'll follow up with those people for that, which we've gotten most of those.
This has been gone through by the.
So we pretty much copied and pasted it from North Country, which was done by a lawyer. So,
Do you need a motion?
yeah, we'll need a
Can you
motion.
scroll down?
Oh, yeah, yes, yes. I think it was Kevin Patty at that role.
I'd make the motion, we accept.
Right, the second.
All right,
So,
who seconded? I'm sorry, Craig did? Or
Right,
nobody?
yep.
Okay. Any opposed down here? None opposed down here.
None here.
All right, motion passes then. I will resend it out again to everybody now that it's approved to get signatures. So I guess look for that in your email soon, or if you have it already from, no, I'll have to put the adopted date and stuff on there. So I'll send it out again to everybody.
Oh,
But the date, yeah.
And then the
I'm
other
not-
is conflict of interest forms are due. So if you haven't turned it in already, you should, and we'll be coming back to you in May at your annual meeting to have you do it all over again. So, oops. All about you.
So I guess, so conflict of interest we did, so new business for 2024 meeting dates. As we kind of mentioned, trying to get stuff out to everybody ahead of time. We put on here that application materials are due, basically on the first of the month in which we're meeting, so January the 1st kind of a thing. And that kind of states that at the bottom there. Hopefully, if we get stuff in by the 1st, that gives us a little bit of time to review it, reach back out if we are missing something from the agency and to get it. It'll also kind of give us some time and we can kind of pull our own little EPCR reports, like we mentioned, getting more data on the agencies and stuff like that. And that way it gives us a couple weeks. We kept it on the 4th Monday, as we have been doing. Except for May got weird. But May has to be our annual meeting, so we at least have to meet in May. The other months are, flexible based on you guys.
So the May meeting, after some discussion with the executive committee, there was a lot of conversation about at least having one meeting a year where we're all together in the same room. While having the remote option is nice, there is something to be said about all coming together to talk about things. So we figured the annual meeting would be the best option for that, which is in May. And again, if there's any CONs that pop up that don't hit these dates, we'll have to throw in special meetings.
I guess since, we have enough for a quorum anyway. Is 5 PM a good start time or not a good start time? Like, will it help us get quorums if we move the meeting time out for people to be able to get here better or something? Doesn't matter to me, really. It's kind of up to you guys. I don't know how Malone feels up there. Not that I'm saying we need to change it, but, we literally just barely had a quorum for this meeting today.
Well,
Which we did change. We did change the date, but still, we pretty much every meeting are wondering if we have a quorum or not. So I don't.
Just always think I can get here faster from Albany, but but next year that'll change. I'm not gonna be coming from school.
the only thing Jonathan should understand, because he wasn't here for this, is the meeting time used to be later. It was moved up to 5 at everyone's request, because there was always a lull between the REMAC and the REMSCO, and people felt like it was a waste of their time having a big gap in between, too long long enough to make them feel like it was a waste of time, but not long enough to be able to go do anything in the area. Probably the best way to put it. So historically speaking.
And that's why we moved it.
Yeah, I think before it was 6 o'clock. And we moved it. We also kind of had food too before too. I kind of did it a little more catering stuff. Up to you guys. I don't care.
I mean, I'm one person, but 5 works well. We move it back to 6. I can't attend because it falls on the same nights as a work obligation.
Yeah, I think 5 is good. As a matter of fact, does REMAC ever go beyond 4 o'clock?
I'd be.
I mean, is it hard for people to get there?
Yeah, usually by 4 we're done. I think if we moved it up to 4, that would be hard. We'd probably, REMAC would be late sometimes, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the time they get.
In fact, you have to go back and reviewing agencies the way they used to.
Yeah, if we're gonna look at agencies.
We used to go past the work when we did the old.
Yeah.
The word from our side of the meeting is keep it at 5.
No, that's what we're hearing down here too. So good. Okay. Are we good with these dates? We can send them if we approve them, or I don't know if we need a motion or not, but I'll send them all out and everything if we like these dates.
Send them out.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're good with kind of having applications and stuff like that being due for everybody by the 1st of the month, for the month we're meeting. I don't know if that needs to be a motion or not, but
That's a office operation, so we don't need that's for our own sanity. So,
Sounds like people down here think it's a good idea, so.
Yeah. I also think it's a good idea that the meeting information gets sent, a couple of weeks in advance. I know that you're talking about, having things to you 2 weeks in advance, but
oh, you'll get everything.
getting stuff the day of the meeting, I can't always look at my emails, and I know there's probably a lot of people sitting around our tables that can't look at their stuff before the meeting and be prepared. So just being cognizant of that.
I also think moving to the boardable system will help with a lot of that, because it's just gonna be there anytime for you to look at. As soon as we upload it into the system, you should get a notification that this document's been uploaded for discussion. So,
Including the agenda, what we're going to talk about, so that people know that, I need to be there because they're talking about, my committee, or
Yeah.
We have something to report on.
Cool, all right. Committee reports.
So the executive committee has met, and Lisa has decided to step down from the vice chair. So we will be entertaining any volunteers for the vice chair position. The other thing that the executive committee talked about, and it kind of ties in with the next committee, which is the finance committee, but we met, the executive committee, without Zach and John, met to discuss a proposition that was made to us by North Country, that we, as a REMSCO, fold and file for bankruptcy and turn over our operation to North Country. So I'm not sure how everybody feels about that. And I know there's been some sidebar conversations. So I know some of you have talked about it. The executive committee met, there were mixed feelings. My personal feeling is the piece that bothers me the most about it would be filing for bankruptcy. I feel as though that's irresponsible, and the responsible thing is to pay the bills, and to work towards being budget neutral. And once that happens, to make a decision where the organization goes from there. I think that we have a responsibility, and we've made commitments, to these people that we owe money to. And I personally feel that that's the route we need to take. But I'm open to hearing from others.
Patty has her hand up.
So I think I would need to hear what's happened since the August meeting in regards to the finances. So for an example, I've talked to Jonathan. I know the program agency has the contract with the state and they're good to go. Where are we at with recouping the quarters that were not submitted? And which will lead then to where are we at with the contract with the state for the current year? And I think that all hinges also on where the auditor is. So I don't know what's going on with any of that. So I think it'd be great if we could hear an update on that part.
Storm?
And so you can, did you get did everybody, so the people who got the treasurer's report, so everybody should have gotten it in your email today, but I sent it out around noon or 1. Can't remember when I finished it. So what I've done is taken it from when we initially took over and where we stand at this point. So currently, we have money in the bank that would tentatively pay off almost all of our debt, but it would leave us broke. The AHA card, we have almost $17,000 in receivable money in that. And one of my projects, when I finish looking at the auditor stuff, since that's gonna be my next priority, is to get out and rebill people for cards they have not paid for. So $17,000 is a huge chunk of change, that we could recoup probably most of it. And then we still have outstanding debt. High Peaks, we are down to almost $25,000, which is significantly less than the 82 we started with last September. September of 22, when we took over. All right, and then there are some instructors' fees that are still owed. And my goal is to get them paid in the next 2 weeks. So by December 1st, we should have a payroll system up and running to be able to pay them. And then I've given you a list of the recurring bills, which don't amount to a whole lot at this point in our world. What else did I give you? I gave you all the bills, the significant bills that we have paid in the last year, so that you would know where all of this money has gone. And then the last thing I think I gave you was the instructor debt, what we still owe instructors. So we'll get, once those get done. So I would expect that if I can get the auditors done and I can find the information they need, which is our biggest dilemma, because I've not been able to find it in QuickBooks yet. I'm not even sure, because I can't find much in QuickBooks after 2000. And my understanding is that we are looking for stuff in 2021. We finished 2021. It is 2000, no. We finished 20, we need to do 21. And then that will be caught up, and then we should be done. But I have to go back and find it within the system.
So Storm, you have a finance committee.
Right.
And I'm looking at the committee, and there are 4 or 5 additional people on that committee. So I would like to see that subcommittee meet and look at the auditor requests and QuickBooks. Does anybody on the subcommittee have experience with QuickBooks?
Nobody
So-
did what I got.
Tammy, who's on the committee?
Eric, John Bashaw, Matt Watts, and Adrian Hamilton.
No, but. And when I asked earlier, nobody had any experience in the entire council. So we're looking at, starting to square one. So I think that if we can meet and we pick this apart, as a group, that we may be able to look for stuff. So I'm gonna set up some meetings and we'll see what we can do to kind of pull it through. What I'll do is give everybody on the committee access who's gonna work on it. But again, I won't go beyond the 5 people that are on it, because I think that that's gonna drive us down the path of just spending money to find stuff that may not be there. So I'm gonna look at that group.
So basically, we're at the same spot we were in August.
No, I think we're in better shape.
Is that so? So
We're
with
in better
the
shape for the
CP,
CPR, because we have money in the CPR account. So the CPR account, remember, was the account that was going to be our income stream. We actually, depending on what I find, in terms of the education committee also has money in it. Once I pay off what I know absolutely we have for instructor fees. So they will have some money left also. So we are actually in much better shape than we were.
So I guess not to be bitchy.
Remember what you're gonna, so
So
if.
So can we, with that committee, because basically it was our goal, hopefully, to have for this meeting, like the auditor stuff done and all that good stuff done. And I know, Storm, you've taken on quite a bit, you know, and totally appreciate that. But I think we need to, I think this is my total honest opinion. I think we need to, with this committee, like Tammy just said, draw the line in the sand and say by our next meeting, which I think is in December or something, that, right? No, it's not December. When is it?
Anyway,
That this committee, not just Storm, but this committee has gotten a long ways down the road to figuring out what the heck finding the information that's needed for the auditors so that we can get back into the grant gateway, so that we can get our voucher paid, so that we can get a contract for this coming year. I think if we can get everybody on that committee working on that and saying by January we need to have this done, because we need to, like, I know this is recorded, crap or get off the pot, so to speak. And I just think, Storm, that you need more help in trying to get this, all pulled together. And I'm very appreciative of the fact that Jonathan has got the program agency all squared away, that they've got the contract for that. But we need to, like, get this wrapped up. So I think if you have the help of your committee, that we can, get this taken care of.
So I also wonder Vanessa's role in all of this. I mean, we paid her to do this stuff, right? I mean, that was part of her responsibility. And she's been paid, is that correct?
that's correct.
So have we had more conversations with Vanessa about helping us figure out where this is? This
Yeah.
stuff?
We had conversations with Vanessa when she originally, after we paid her off. And she was not terribly helpful in telling me where things were. Okay, so I tried, but it's been a year. So keep in mind that I'm not sure what, and plus the fact that, remember when we picked up stuff from the office, that there was receipts and stuff all over the place that I'm not sure were ever reported. So they are all over in Fort.
So one person from the finance committee could be tasked with the mission of reaching out to Vanessa and, reminding her that she has been paid in full and seeing where that stuff is and if she can help us with that. You could assign some of these tasks out to your committee.
Well, I can, but she will expect to be paid. She made that very clear.
But she was already paid to do this. This was,
We paid her already for the hours she worked at Mountain Lake's office. She is not gonna work for us for free.
I would be more than happy to reach out to Vanessa. I had a really good relationship with her. So how about if I take that task on and reach out to her and see if we can make some impact there?
I think that's wise. So that is really our big holdup with getting our money, really, that is the report that the auditors have and the list of their requests. Storm sent me that today as well. I've just looked over it quickly. It looks like they need like everything, and it's a ton of information. So I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get that tidied up, but I think we are obligated to look at it, and I think more than just Storm. I think that, we need as a group to divvy it up, and if somebody else who's not on the finance committee, feels like Patty did, you know, that they could make a difference, or they would like to try, or if you have any experience in QuickBooks, you know, I think now's the time to step up and, offer your services.
I understand that Jonathan might be a wizard at QuickBooks.
So
That-
I'm not bad in QuickBooks. The problem is we don't have an additional MOU for services above and beyond day-to-day office work. Because I have a person at the office who is actually a whiz at QuickBooks. And makes me look like I don't know how to add 2 + 2. But my higher ups have been, a little more restrictive on what I can do and cannot do that's above and beyond what our contract says we can do in our deliverables. Which is one thing that Tammy and I and Zach were all working on to find out those lines, what we can do, what we can do, what we aren't supposed to do. I will say I have been doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing because I don't want to see you guys sink. I want to see this turnaround. But
So we're in a little bit of a conundrum.
So can I just also make an additional comment? So when we were at the Vital Signs Conference a couple of weeks ago, Ryan and Steve pulled me aside with Matt, right? Matt, you were there? Or
I
no?
was there for the end of the conversation, but
Oh,
yes.
it was Mickey, I guess. So one of the concerns that Steve, or both of them passed along, and Ryan's were that there was they asked us, so what's going on with Mountain Lakes? And obviously not being on the executive committee, I wasn't 100% sure, and I certainly didn't want to speak for Mountain Lakes. But their return comment was that they hope that we are able to get things wrapped up. And if they need to meet with us, they're more than happy to do that to clarify what's going on, because they would hate, and I didn't receive it as like a threat, even though it could be perceived that way, but they would hate to see when the red flags go up at the state level of things not getting, flapping in the wind, then sometimes that has other people looking at what's going on. So of which one was the Attorney General's office. So I would definitely, I said I would pass that on to you guys. I would definitely make sure that we got this cleared up as soon as we could. But I forgot to relay that earlier. And I hadn't. Hey, wait, one more thing before I forget. One more thing, because if I don't say something, I forget it. So the other thing is so Jonathan, would your assistance be covered under our program agency contract if that was cleared up?
if the MOU was signed again, then yes, I can turn Lindsay, who's our CFO, loose and she can start digging and trying to find things.
Okay.
What would that entail?
We just have to sign the MOU, but it would be at a fee. But the fee's negotiable. So I can have a conversation with the executive committee this week. And I'll loop our CFO into it and see if we can come up with an arrangement that is amicable for both sides.
Okay. And would that be, Patty, with your experience, would that be something that the whole REMSCO would need to meet to approve, or is that something we can approve based upon, conversations now with the executive committee?
That's what I would do. I would say, I would pass a resolution stating that the REMSCO is giving the authority to the executive committee to sign an MOU that is reasonable and that you guys feel comfortable with because you're representing us. I mean, this is my opinion. I would think that would be totally appropriate. That way it's not holding us up and we're supporting you with this motion. So that's what I would suggest, yes.
Okay, so this was what was supposed to happen when Ann first came on board. And that never happened. So we were supposed to get that support and people to look at QuickBooks. And I given Ann access to it. And then I gave Jonathan access to it, and that never happened in that year that we paid them. So just be aware that that is the case. And the reason the Attorney General is looking at us is because the people we owed money to complained that we were not paying them fast enough.
That's not my understanding and how I took it from Ryan. The reason that they were talking about it to us was that things have not been closed up, and they don't really know where we stand, Mountain Lakes. It didn't come from a complaint. I mean, it may have been, but he did not bring that up in the conversation. He was just wondering where our contract is. You know, are we back in the gates or Grants Gateway? That's what he was talking about.
Well, that's not the Attorney General conversation because that occurred like 6 months after this occurred when we couldn't pay bills until we got money. So that's
Again,
where
go
the
ahead.
Attorney General.
Again, Ryan was indicating that when there's things not being taken care of and people start seeing that it's not been taken care of, that's when investigations along that line start popping up.
Well, and I think that the majority of the board really, the majority of us really have been in the dark about a lot of this. I mean, it started with Travis and the last 2 years that he was at the helm, and then the transition with Ann. And there's just been, I think, we're trying to pull things together, but there's been a gap in communication. And one person doing the job of an entire office, it isn't helpful. And I think that, Storm has done a fantastic job paying, $100,000 in debt down in a year. I think that's incredible. But we need to get the rest of this done, and file for our money if we still can. I know there's conversation about whether or not we still can, but nonetheless, I think we need to tidy up the financial situation. That is the biggest thing hanging over our heads right now. And if a memorandum needs to be signed and we can negotiate a reasonable fee to get that done, I think that may be in our best interest. But I also feel as though if we do this, if we do proceed with this memorandum of understanding and the office is to assist us, it will be with the finance committee in tow. The entire finance committee needs to be involved in this operation. And I think that speaks a lot to, us being aware and honest, integrity, communication about this.
Tammy, do you have Ryan's number or email?
I do.
It might be good taking me out of the middle of the whole thing. Just say, hey, Patty came back, and then talk to him directly.
Sure.
And then that way he also sees that we're making, as you know, every effort to try to fix or move forward.
Just chewed it up, didn't you?
Is there any more conversation about this? Glens Falls,
Nothing down here.
thoughts? Yes, no, good, bad, ugly?
We're good.
So the plan will be to,
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Sorry, looking at the the report that you sent out, shoot, hang on. Am I understanding it right, if I was to just look at this as the overall picture, that if we paid off what we owe, we'd have about 22,000 or so left
I think so.
before we,
Yeah, I just.
Okay,
we have to
think
look at
so?
The instructor group again, but once I get that settled, then I think that that's where we're gonna be, but we may be a little less than that. We may be at like 10, somewhere between 10 and 20.
what is our end goal as Mountain Lakes at
What do you
this
mean?
point? Well,
Okay, so let's talk about Mountain Lakes as a group. And so what is the REMSCO responsible for at this point? And what are our responsibilities as we know them today? So we run the Heart Association module, which we will lose if we lose the REMSCO. That will have to go away. So there will be no place for people to get CPR cards other than wherever they live in their region. They can go to, whether they're maybe a partner with their local hospitals or partner with somebody else, which is doable. It'll be a little work for them and the hospital has to take them on as instructor.
But that's not
Or
a
somebody
deliverable,
else, huh?
correct?
Hmm?
That is not a state deliverable, correct?
It is not, none of these are state delivered. Except the CON piece of it at the REMSCO level. So whatever our responsibilities are from the REMSCO side, which is what we've asked Jonathan to delineate for us, what exactly is the REMSCO responsible for, except the CON process, which is the only thing we really know we're responsible for. Because we were never shared any of that other information, unless somebody else has information that I don't have. Yes, Patty? Anything? Do you know? I can't hear you.
you're on mute.
Unmute yourself.
Sorry, I was typing to Vanessa. And I wasn't actively listening, but I don't know of, I think what you're asking, is there anything
Thing
else?
is, what are the REMSCO's?
Well, it's my understanding that you guys asked Jonathan or Zach or somebody to delineate, okay, here's the program agency and here's what it's responsible for, and here's what we get out of North Country's program agency. And then here's the REMSCO pot, which is a really small amount of money that you'll be getting from the state. I want to say it's like 20 some odd thousand, but here's the REMSCO pot. What is the REMSCO, which I think the REMAC is a subcommittee of? What's that REMSCO responsible for? Which I think will probably be smaller duties, because the bigger pot, which is thousands of dollars, goes to North Country. So I don't think we have a lot that we've got to do, but I do think we have some stuff. And quite frankly, if we don't get CON money, Jonathan, I hope we can do a step around that. That will be devastating to the REMSCOs. And then we have the Education Committee. So what do you expect from, not committee, but what do you expect from the Mountain Lakes Regional EMS Council as far as the educational piece? I think if we get what the program agency is supposed to be doing and what the REMSCO is supposed to be doing, I think we can figure out education afterwards. But if we could get those two parts and pieces clearly separated as to what needs to happen, then we can wrap the money around the different entities as to what we can cover. And I think, and then to answer Lisa's part of this, then I think, and quite frankly, I think if we could get this out to the agencies, it would make a huge difference as well, because the agencies are sitting back saying, all right, is Mountain Lake still functional? I mean, it's just so bizarre right now, I think. That's what I would like to see, is what's going on with the REMSCO, what's going on with the program agency, and then we'll figure out education later.
I would like to see us maintain our identity as our REMSCO. And if we need to contract with North Country, which, I mean, we don't have an executive director. We don't have people to do the things that we, have had done for us in the past. And I think that's some of our challenge, as we talked about earlier. But I think if we can, contract with them and maintain our identity and maintain the relationships within our counties. I mean, we hand everything over, it really dilutes this entire region. And I fear that, we would lose touch with, our region. And I think that would not be helpful. But that's just my opinion.
No, I agree, and I think let's get that explanation out to us so that we know what the heck's what is what.
For what it's worth, I don't really feel like we have a whole lot of touch with our region now, but it's just my opinion.
Right.
Is Zach fully paid for by the program agents?
Yes.
And is he so, yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, if we could get that broken out, I think that would be super as to what is supposed to be doing what.
I think that's what we do.
All right, so that's it for the executive committee. How about the finance committee? Anything else, Storm, you want to add?
I don't think so. I'll add to this little list that I've generated as we go along, and I will try and keep it updated so that we share it regularly.
Patty, I'll send you that list of things that the auditor was requesting.
Okay, super. That would be great. Yeah, I'll reach out. She answered my phone call, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. So I think there's a possibility of some assistance there, but let's see what happens. I think if we get that memorandum cleared up and get Jonathan looped in, I think that's probably going to be your biggest bang for the buck, so to speak.
We need a motion to allow the executive committee to do that.
What do you remember?
I don't think they've heard you.
Do we need a motion to allow the executive committee to?
Motion. I don't remember who made it, but I think we had a
I
motion.
think our motion man tonight.
Patty mentioned it.
Oh, then it was Patty.
Help me out, you guys. Short-term memory loss.
To allow the executive committee to sign.
Oh, yes. So, I make the motion, which I can make the motion, I just think I can't vote. I make the motion that the executive committee has our permission and support to review the memorandum of understanding and use their best judgment to review and sign that document so that we can utilize the program or North Country to assist us. I think just adding that financial, you know what I'm
Change
saying?
to FDRHPO, not North Country.
I
'Cause we're-
know, it's easier for me to remember, I'm sorry.
It's got too many letters.
You're telling me.
REMSCO, I'm like LMFD.
So, I make the motion to have the executive committee enter into an updated memorandum understanding with, I'm gonna say North Country, you put in the letters, so that we can get their assistance in closing out our financial, or our last contract. How's that?
If financially feasible,
Yes,
if we can come to a financially feasible.
and you guys feel comfortable.
You have a second yet?
No, I have Patty making the motion, is that Matt will second it down here, I don't know if Greg did up there, but I got Matt seconding it. So we can go to vote.
Any further discussion? Anybody abstain? Anybody vote no? All in favor? Motion carried. Who's next up on the committee?
Personnel Committee.
Nope, not here.
Compliance and Audit Committee.
No report.
Systems Committee went earlier. But if you have anything else, you can talk about it.
No. Gotta wait until the applications are completed.
Education Committee. Boards isn't here. And nominating, do you want to form your nominating committee or make them active so we can refill the vice chair?
Yeah, the nominating committee is assigned. There's,
I just need to tell them they have work to do.
yeah.
Eric,
Yeah, you pull-
yeah, me, Bobby,
So we need the nominating committee to get together to work on the vice chair position. So, Matt, do you want to set something up with your team?
We will.
Sounds great. Yeah. Oh, he's not on the nominating?
So that might not be up there
What's not updated?
on the agenda. We'll fix that.
that is.
No, that's right. That's wrong. The agenda's wrong.
Where's it?
Right inside.
So, okay, so Eric is the lead in that group.
Zach, can you make a note to fix that?
For which committee?
Nominating, it's Eric, not Matt.
Sorry, Matt.
Oh, I'm good.
You're not broken-hearted?
Not one bit.
I don't think we have anything to say over that.
No, we're good. I think we're done.
Just ask.
Does anybody have anything else? Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Make a motion.
Door down here. Second it. Matt, second it.
Please, let's go to-
We have a second here, we have a third, fourth.
All right, favor.
All in favor? Till we meet again. Thank you, everyone.